Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kamen Rider Zero-One. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is...
Rye,
And zero.
with the challenge over and the takeover by complete, Amatsu Guy, Kamen Rider Thouser, is now CEO of Hidden Intelligence, with Aruto having lost his job. As such, all Humagear are now being shut down, and there is now an issue of illegal disposal going on in the city.
On one side note, I will point out that he didn't lose his job. The board recommended he quit, and he just went, "Yeah, okay." So it's not so much that he lost his job because they couldn't force him out. Guy could have, and probably would have, but yeah, he just went, "Yeah, no, I'm good. Bye."
I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know how Japan's boards are set up, but usually,
Well, I mean, they literally said it when at the end of the last episode before he left. He's like,
no. I know that part, but it's like, in Japan, like if somebody's like, "Hey, we recommend you do this thing," it's pretty much like you should probably do it to save face. Otherwise, we're gonna fucking do it by force.
Right, and it's one of those things like it would have been something that he could have fought against, not
Right.
too much avail.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
and then the thing with like Guy could force him out. I was like, well, technically he has the most shares, but
How that made him CEO of the company, I don't necessarily
they
know.
could basically like yeah, it's weird, but like technically like shareholders have a gets to decide who sits on the board like once a year. So like technically Guy can name himself head of the board, which it's weird, but it's possible. But it's like again, the timing's a little off. But then again, it's a hostile takeover, so I guess technically they could call in an emergency session.
He bought enough shares so that his opinion was the only one that mattered.
Yeah, it's true. That's pretty much what happened, right? I mean, isn't that like most companies? Like 1% of the shareholders own like 75% of the stock anyway.
Probably.
Yeah, that's how most major corporations work.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, honestly.
Yeah, it's why a lot of people get pissed off with corporations in general in the aspect of, well, this isn't what we wanted you guys to do. But there was those three assholes over in the corner own 99% of the crap, and they're like, yeah, no, this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and
we're not gonna be happy, and we're gonna take money away from your company.
No, it's not even that. Is how share voting works is the number of shares you get that's how many votes you get. So like you could literally have every single worker in like say a GM plant, and they own like 10 shares each or whatever, and like they'll all be like, no, we want this guy, and then like literally like the five guys who own like 70% in the company is like, so what, we have millions of votes. Like who cares what you want?
Wow, this is sounding like American politics at the moment.
Well, yeah, funny enough, I did just listen to like Michael Moore's podcast, and he was pretty much just talking about, I mean, this shares topic just came up, so I was like, okay, weirdly enough.
The real villain was capitalism all along.
Dude, don't even start. like Aruto pretty much just turned into a fucking leftist this episode. So, like, you know what? It truly is. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, the whole thing of, like, oh, yeah, I don't give a shit. I said we're scrapping this. That's what we're doing. There's, like, another moment, too, where it's like, Aruto just, like, calls him out. It's like, what the fuck is the point of having a president if you treat everybody like shit and you just make them do whatever the fuck you want, even though like they don't want to? And Guy doesn't answer. He's just like, I own the place. People get to do what I say they get to do. Right? So I'm like, that's like the standard capitalist answer. It's like, that's not really an answer. That's just like, I own the place, therefore my opinion wins. Right? So yeah.
It's still the best meme for the show I have ever found.
Dude, it gets more accurate with each episode.
Yes, it does. And it's the greatest thing ever.
So, while we're on this track, let's talk about revisionist history. Because in an interview, a fucking guy says that the reason he's shutting down the human gear is because they were growing sapients, causing them to attack humans. Like,
Right, when did the humans figure this out?
Like, completely, like, butchering what actually happened. Like, nothing about, like, the terrorists, Mitsubo Jinrai, nothing about, like, the arc that he intentionally made evil, like, nothing about how only 2 human gear actually are attacked humans out of their own free will, with all the rest being, like, hacked and corrupted and shit. Like, none of that. Like, nah, they're growing sapiens and attacking people. They had to go.
Here's the thing, right? Like, technically, you could spin it that way. It's like, well, yes, the terrorists are robots who became sentient because their satellite robot became sentient and hacked humans. You could argue it from that point of view, but you're 100% correct, where it's like, no, most people don't know that, and guys just fucking rewriting history.
Yeah, no, you straight up rewriting history, make it sound like all human gear are the going evil.
Yeah, so basically, once you've done listening to that Michael Moore podcast, go over to listen to Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent, I guess, and to see how the media manipulates the masses.
So there was a line in that confused me. Because my brain, there was a line that he used that the way it was translated, and you said it as it was translated, it was sapiens. My brain went, that should be sentience, because that was the problem, was them becoming sentient, not the fact of sapiens. Because those are two distinct differences.
Okay, so sapience is the quality of wisdom according to the internet.
Yeah, sapience is basically human level intelligence.
Well, the main difference between sentience and sapience is sentience is the capacity to feel, perceive, or experience subjectively, whereas sapience is simply just a deep understanding of or knowledge of a subject. Sapience is not the problem.
Right. Because like all human gear have sapience because that's what they're designed to have.
So
because they're designed to have that deep knowledge of whatever they were made for.
Either that's a translation error, or guy is literally talking out his ass.
Well,
which
to be
I'm
fair,
okay
you
with
could just be using the word in the colloquial setting where it's like, when we mean sapiens, we mean like human level sapiens, where it's like, well, there's a lot of animals who are like sentient level, like self-recognition is like one of the things of like sentience. So it's like if you look at a mirror and see that reflection and know it's you, like that's a pretty high level thing on like animal basis.
Yeah,
like,
cats don't do that.
Most animals don't do that. I mean, some cats do, but it's pretty rare. But the thing is, like, most cats don't.
Human gear are literally built with facial recognition technology.
Right. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, in the case of an AI, it means like more just like self-awareness and like more human. I'm thinking that's where they're coming from, but you're right. It's a weird use of words. Right. But it could just be a translation thing.
Right, because in the structure that we've been given for this entire show, the object of sentience is slightly different than what it would mean for like the animal kingdom. Because like you said, it's how aware of yourself versus everything else around you. Whereas sentience with AI is gaining the ability to think and act of your own free will. So based on this, Jin, 100% sentient. He's reached that singularity. There are, in the words of Ultron, there are no strings on him.
Yeah. So like Jin and Izu's brother, because self-determination and basically like life and death that opinions are like basically choosing.
But that has been the problem with this going forward. And I don't mean a problem as in the show's fucked up. No, the problem with the human gear, that was what let it be triggered for them to be hacked to head to the Ark, to be
Well, I mean, most
manipulated that
people
way.
don't know that. They just go like, "Oh shit, robot freaking out,
Right.
gotta be destroyed." Right? Like they don't
Like
know the
in terms of
particulars.
the masses, yes, that makes sense. It was just weird that it was worded the way it was to me,
I mean, to
because
be
of the fact of we know what it should have been,
yeah.
but we understand that this is just Guy going, yeah, this is why they're bad.
Well, to be fair, Guy went on a TV show, like a talk show, and like, okay, I don't know how fucking how it's like where you're from, but like anytime a goddamn politician goes on a goddamn talk show in this province, and considering like we've had like a 40, almost a 43-year run of one party leading it. Oh, you know what's really funny? So North Korea, right, actually has an opposition party. It's just for show, right? But they have seats, right? Before this like 43-year run of this party, their last seat count had more of them versus the opposition than North Korea. Until people got fed up with their shit, kicked them out, and then like they doubled down on their propaganda so hard they pretty much won all their seats back again. But the point is, every time these assholes show up on like talk shows and stuff, it's just purely like basically talk shows funded by their think tanks and shit like this. So it's like it's 100% propaganda.
Oh, that's 100% how it is here.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, Guy revising it, it might also just be like that's how like the writer wrote it on purpose. So it's like, hey, Guy, you're just saying random bullshit, and like this TV show is like 100% fake and just doing whatever you say because you have money. But it's,
which I can buy that.
yeah, like maybe it's like the writer's trying to show like Guy is even more fake, but like most people don't see it. I don't know. It could be that. Anyway, first scene aside.
So Aruto and Jin have a little chat, with Jin admitting that he was in the wrong when he was part of Metsubo Jinrai because of all the human gear that he abused to try and take over. Zaruto helped show him that. However, he still has a hatred for humanity because of the way they treat human gear as tools and are now destroying them all. Aruto pleads to him that for him there's no difference between a human or human gear because he was raised by a human gear in place of having an actual father.
Did this feel like, I mean, honestly, it feels a little bit rushed how fast these two characters got here. It feels like there should have been one episode where Arta's just doing his own shit before they hooked up. But that aside, like everything with Jin and Arto this episode was so damn good. Like it's amazing how well they play off each other.
And like
It's also really nice the like nuance that is shown with both of the characters.
Right, like especially with like the nuance of Jin understanding that they're both kind of necessary, or like Aruto is necessary for him to have his plan come to fruition, because if there are no human gears, well, his entire mission is fucked.
Can't liberate something that doesn't exist.
It's true, but that is one of the coolest moments, man. Like Jin is so much more interesting than like basically. Oh, that's not true. There's a lot of interesting shit going on, but like seriously, Jin's barely been in this show since he came back, and he's like amazing every time he's on the screen. Like that is amazing casting.
It's like the part that I find hilarious with it is we fell in love with happy-go-lucky Jin, and that character was amazing, and then he gets murdered and comes back as borderline an entirely different character, like a different outfit, mindset, the whole 9 yards, and it's like, yeah, you're still one of the best characters on the show. It's
Right. It's like the best. He's probably the best. Like, oh, we had to bring this character back to life, and their outlook changed. Like, this has to be probably the best version of that character trope I've ever seen.
and it's amazing.
It is pretty nice. I mean, like, I really do like how Jin actually like understands. Like, you can see that he's like That's one of the things. Like, as much like a lot of shit happens this episode, but they still give people just time to process stuff. Like, you see, like, oh, Jin just found out that Arto used to have a robot dad, and like it takes like it cuts to him for a second actually processing that, and then thinking, oh well, maybe I could use this guy for something still. Like, maybe he's not super evil, or maybe he's not full of shit when he says he's actually trying to help the human gear. Right, and then like Jin says, like, you keep saying that human gear are just machines for dreams, so it's like you're just using us. And then, like, Arto is like, no, I realize how important each and every one of them are. Like, it's such a good moment. So, like, again, whoever the fuck directed the last 2 episodes has been doing a really good job. Like, cinematography was pretty good too this episode, but like, man, directing the last 2 episodes have been amazing.
Ames comes to ruin the party, with Yua as their new captain, seeking out Jin to destroy him. Fua has left Ames as he realizes now that the enemy hasn't been the human gear, it's been Zaya all along, as they were the ones who, created the evil arc that made the human gear go rampage and give him his traumatic backstory. And back when this series started, like early on, I made a guess that Fua would eventually leave Ames and go rogue, and now that has happened.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking back to. To like when the show started, like Fua was so one note, but he's like so damn interesting now. Also, I love how like everybody calls out you bullshit now. Like, whenever they show up, it's like, what are you doing? You're on the wrong side. Like, immediately everybody calls her out on it.
And I love the fact that it's Fua doing it, and the way Fua's doing it is, I'm just gonna kick your ass until you own up to it.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's not true. He comes in and he asks her, is like, hey, why are you doing this? You can live for yourself. Oh, you want to fight? Okay, I'm gonna kick your ass now. Right? So, like, at least even Fua's learned, like, he's not just a pure musclehead, like, he at least gives you a chance. Like, before every fight, he, like, gives her a chance to, like, come to the good guy side.
To own it, and then,
Like,
but she doesn't, so he's like, yep, nope, I'm gonna wreck your shit until you figure it out.
hey, Yua, are you still Zaya's tool? Yua, I'm not a tool. I'm gonna attack you out of my own will. Yeah, okay, you're still
right.
Zaya's tool. Let me just... Yeah, okay, you're done.
Yeah, I was gonna go with, like, oh, okay, your own, then eat up to this. Basically, like, also, this fuck-up's on you, all on you? Okay, here, take it. Take the L.
You dropped this.
Oh, man, it's great. Like, it's amazing how interesting Fua got, like, after he dropped that I want to kill all robots thing. Honestly, like, it's amazing how well, like, everything's tied back into itself at this point. Because at one moment, it was like, okay, why are you even here, guy? But now, like, it's recontextualized, so it's like, okay, we could kind of still use Guy for a bit. Even though he's got new henchmen, but he still also gets his ass kicked this episode, so I'm like, you're weirdly no threat again, which is kind of annoying. Also, Toei really likes using the fucking, like, robot suits for grunts now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they're cool and all, but it's like you've been doing this shit since Build at this point.
So, so the vice president and the chief director or whatever his title is, they are just absolutely sucking up to Thouser. And I hope something comes out of this. Managing director, that's it.
Yeah, I feel like nothing's gonna come out of this. They're just eating up screen time, which kind of sucks because like they could have plot lines if they wanted to, but I feel like they're not doing anything.
It seemed like they were going to, but their entire plot line devolved into pointing out every time Arto fucked up to his face.
Oh, like honestly, it's like at this point, the only purpose to have them, continue to eat up screen time is like for them to be that reason that, Aruto is able to sneak into the company and steal all the crap back.
Yeah, but he already did that.
Well, not everything. He did have to go steal Izu and
Jin
Driver.
did that without any of them.
Oh yeah, he did. But I mean, it could have literally just been the whole like that was they used them as a doorway.
They could have been useful, but they weren't useful at all. See, that's the other thing. I was like, okay, you know what? Here's the thing. So Arto has no company, and by the end of this, he gets his own company again. So he has to start from the ground. But he has like no business sense or anything, right? So what would have been really smart is like if the vice president and his group actually came along with Arto, and they started a company by themselves, and then like Arto was their employee. Like at least they could have had like plot lines, but they're just still stuck at Hiden. Like they're doing nothing.
Financial security.
Dude, he's like a vice president. He's got like a golden prayer. Okay, they got an out, right? Like the board's like, well, if you want to quit, like they were gonna get severance. It's not like they were gonna get fired. Like what the hell? Right? He's a vice president of like a Fortune 500 company. Right? Like he's got at least a couple million in a golden parachute guarantee. Like he's not gonna be hurting for shit. Like I don't feel bad for rich assholes being like, oh no, it's jobs. Like fuck off. Right? Like at that point, when you're that high up and that rich, you just fail upwards or you stay stable. You never hit rock bottom.
So yeah. Jin breaks into Hiden and steals Izu and the Zero-One driver back, bringing her to Aruto. However, he can't get her to wake up. That's because she doesn't have her motherboard. Aruto has it in his pocket and inserts it in her, waking Izu up. However, Izu is now in a confused state as her job is to be the assistant to the president, which is no longer Aruto. Both Jin and Aruto plead to Izu that it's time for her to make her own decisions and think for herself, but she can't comprehend that because she doesn't understand fully grasp the concept of human gear gaining their own sentience or sapience or whatever you want to call it.
Like, and that's played out really, really well through all this because she was never close enough to sentience for there to be that jump. Because yeah, she was making some small decisions and all that stuff on her own, but nothing on a grand scale. It's like her orders aren't to follow Aruto, but they're to follow the president.
Right. Every time she made a decision on her own, it was for the president's sake, so it was still within her mission statement. Zero?
It's and even just the way that gets corrected through with the way it plays out is it works out beautifully because there's all the stressors on her through this whole, you don't work for him, you work for me, blah 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 horseshit, and it's done expertly.
Right. I mean, that's such a good moment too between like all three of them, where it's like, hey, Izu, you decide, and like Jin's like, hey, you're independent now, and then Arto like agrees, and they kind of have a moment, and then like it's still iffy because like, well, Izu might just succumb to her programming, but then like, she decides to do the right thing, which would break her programming, which like it's the perfect time to have her gain sentience, or hit singularity. Let's go with that. That's such a good moment. um the one thing though it does make me question is like, when Arto fucking like blocked 2 bullets with his fucking engine things. Also, like, it looked like fake blood came out, but I guess they were like copper shells, whatever, or scrapings at that point. I don't know, or I guess would be brass, right? No, yeah,
No,
whatever.
it'd be brass essentially.
Um,
Yeah, it was
but
just the
also,
shelling breaking up.
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's such bullshit, but fine, whatever. Um, Also, Satellite Thea has no.
Sorry, you cut
But
out.
sorry, Satellite Thea has no data on it, but it's still up there. So I'm wondering if that's going to come into play at a later date, because uh, the arc is still active and Guy has no control over it. I mean, like, technically he doesn't really need it for anything right now, but then again, I'm guessing he's going to link up the Zaya specs with Satellite Thea to put in some bullshit mind control shit, knowing Guy. So yeah, I'm still worried that there's that satellite hanging up. I mean, technically, Arto can just go into his form and call the satellite down his armor, but like, we're never gonna see that again.
So yeah, Guy tracks them down to dispose of Izu. As president, she belongs to him, so he can do as he pleases. We also find out that, Arto just took all of the Human Gear AI when he left. And it was one of those that blocked the shot at him, that's why he survived.
The fact that that went unnoticed is amazing to me.
Yeah. Also, the one that just happens to block the shot is the one that looks like Dad, the security one. Yeah, gosh.
I wasn't saying anything. I bumped the mic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just gonna say, yeah, it is weird. But like, okay, first of all, he took all the Henshin things, and nobody noticed. And secondly, all of Satellite Zaya's data is just those chips. Like, there's literally no other models running around.
So, first off, he probably has more on his back in other locations. Second off, those are probably all the pre-designated specific job ones of like security guard, florist, all things like that, versus special requested ones that you can customize yourself.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, considering that I guess Arto's company is like a repair shop thing from next week's preview, I guess he's going to be working on more custom ones. Also, Human Gear are way valuable now because they don't have any backups. So if they die, they're fucking dead now.
What, are people gonna be scalping Human Gear?
Well, I mean,
Well, I mean,
they are,
just like they can't be damaged now because they're not replaceable.
Right.
but then you also have like the fear and all of that of them, thanks to Guy.
Yeah,
So
I
like
mean,
it leads to great things.
right. That's what I was saying. Like, interestingly enough, Guy seemed pretty boring. but like this angle with like Arto having like a small repair shop type company thing is actually kind of interesting for this show. God damn that. Oh
Alright.
my god. Oh shit. Is this the lineup of guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Cut off at the end there is Gokai Silver, who's
Yeah,
also named
I figured that
Guy.
part. Was the one before that?
Probably just some random one.
Uh,
I
I
have
love
no
how it's
idea
like,
who it is.
oh right, that's the cooler guy. I'm like, fuck that. No, it's not. I mean, to be fair, like Ryuki guy and Zero-One guy are pretty similar-ish characters, but Gokai Silver is probably the best one out of these.
Oh yeah, that probably is the Ryuki guy.
Yeah. No, he's eternal 24-year-old.
In the words of Izu, he's 45. I will use the same venom as she did.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this applies, but nice poster. Either way.
I found
So-
it through one of the threads you posted.
Nice.
So, we have this great moment where Thouser is ready to just destroy Izu, and Aruto's desperately protecting her with his body, trying to henshin with the Zero-One driver, but he can't because it's only authorized to be used by the president, and Aruto's no longer the president. And that's when Izu finally makes her own decision. I said before, if it came down to be a decision between the president or Aruto, she would choose Aruto, and that's what happens. She starts up a new company with Aruto as the president. Thus, he is authorized to use the Zero-One driver.
This is like an amazing loophole, but it works so well because it's like, well, technically Hidan doesn't own the human gear or the driver. President Aruto does, and like just make him president of a different company. That's so genius.
Right. Hey, guess what? When you bought out Hidan, you bought all of its assets except the IP to the Huma gear.
Which, like, and that's the thing that like they point out is like that was inherited by Aruto. So it's like because they're like, oh, because he uses your guy uses the whole misappropriation of company property, and she goes, no, he inherited this property.
Right, because we had to read his grandfather's will to know who this went to at the beginning,
It
as
wasn't
opposed to have a shareholder meeting deciding who it went to.
right, and it's not so much that he got the company. He got stuck as the CEO of the company, as the president of the company, but what the intellectual property, which would be the Huma gears, the Zero-One driver, pretty much anything that Grandpa Heaton made
Right.
or had made, is
what is-
technically all physically Aruto's toys now.
Right, because the thing is, like, the whole reason he's president is because his grandfather gave him all the IP, and then the board's like, well, it's fine, he can be president.
And that puts
Right.
into perspective episode 1. Aruto goes, no, I'm not going to be the president, and leaves, and Izu follows him with the belt anyways.
Right, so true.
Um,
Like, man, this show is so fucking well. I mean, okay, Thought Out kind of makes it seem like everything's a little perfect. It's like, okay, maybe not that, but like the key stuff is really well plotted. Like, that's one of the things you gotta hand it to the guy who wrote X8, and this writer is so good at like putting in like foreshadowing stuff, or like Chekhov's gun. There you go. Like, he's really good at that shit.
like he's really good at foreshadowing crap when you don't know he's foreshadowing crap.
Well, that's what I meant, like Chekhov's gun, which is you show the thing and then later on it's gonna get used.
Right, you don't show a gun if you're not going to use it.
Right, pretty much.
But the funny thing with all this that I thought of is, so Guy's been destroying the Huma gear, right?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So he's been committing a felony then?
Technically,
Well, technically, Arto would have to file a.
Well, I mean, yes, he would have to file a suit, but yeah, he's straight up committing crime now because they
mean-
weren't property of because they weren't property of Heat and Intelligence. They were
Right,
just
so-
made by Heat and Intelligence.
Yeah, so Arto could technically sue for damages or royalties.
Also,
Fuck you! I want my company back.
Well, he can't because Guy's company owns the stock, but he could sue for damages and liabilities and royalties, definitely.
Which
also,
but doing so would drop Zaya's stock, and then he then could buy, or Arto could buy Zaya.
who's
Maybe, but
responsible for the illegal dumping that's been going on?
Yeah, there's also
Yeah, that too. There is that too. But his crimes are compounded at this point. You know, you've got that, you've got illegal dumping, destruction of personal property, assault, terror.
Terrorism. If the
terrorism?
ARC stuff ever comes to light.
No, because Fua knows it, so you can technically testify for terrorism.
terrorist activism or whatever.
Domestic terrorism.
Yeah, that's it. Zero cut out.
Like I don't think there has ever been as evil of a person in Rider, and I'm not counting Shocker because they kind of sucked at what they did.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty up there. I mean, like, we haven't had a villain who's okay. This is weird because like final arc villains tend to like want to blow up a city or the world. So like, all right, discounting that, just the regular dude, like he's pretty fucking evil.
Correct.
Right. Because, like Build, we had we're going to experiment on people and, manipulate a country.
But, like, he's not going to be Sorry, go on.
Dude, if he's the final villain, I think that would be amazing.
I don't think so.
He would end up being a very... His whole character shtick would get old really quick.
It's already
that was the case.
He's been the antagonist for an entire arc already, and so I feel like we're really just setting up for his downfall at this point because we still have the entire arc plotline to resolve. So I think the final villain is either going to be Hirobi or Jin.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, if he becomes the final villain, we're gonna run into an evolved situation where it's like, okay, you were okay when you started, then you like constantly got your ass kicked, and why are you still around?
Right. It's gonna get
like
to that.
He hasn't won in like 5-6 episodes.
Yeah, he hasn't won since he started using Metal Cluster and getting his
literally
shit
hasn't
wrecked.
won since he gave Aruto a power up stronger than he is.
It's so true. Oh my god.
I think he won one fight. I think he won one.
I think it's more like a draw, but yeah, you're right. Oh, when he was using his finisher with all
the like beast style finisher kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he knocked him out of Metal Cluster.
And then this episode, you have Thouser initially get his ass whipped by standard Zero-One.
Yeah, that was fucking annoying. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like this emotional
it was the redemption arc, the redemption moment.
Right, it's very emotion driven, but I'm like, this is a power up, you dipshits. This is base power up. You can't, like, I get it. You're gonna go with like, oh, he's fighting with all his heart, and therefore like seeing the first form is like cathartic and all that. I'm like, okay, cool. Do that against the grunts, or dodge a couple of Thouser's attacks or something. Fine. Literally give Thouser a hard time, like, fuck that. Like, I'm not buying that. Because, like, you don't have to write so cheesy. I would have been fine if he did something clever where he was using all the old power-ups one last time. And he was using it, like, in a clever way, like linking the powers and shit. Like how Fua's power-up allows him to, like, fuse, like, multiple attacks together. If he did something like that, I would have been fine. I really hate it when it's just base form. Like, okay, Blade can do it, but the thing is, like, Blade's power-ups don't work like regular Rider style power-ups, right? It's not like, oh shit, I need like fucking King form to beat this guy. It's like, no, I need maybe Jack form, in which case, like, my regular power-ups might give me enough of an edge to be at the same level, or I don't even need that because you're not even that strong. right? So like Blade can do it. Like I hate it when newer writers try to do that because like they make it so cheap because it's just pure emotion. I'm like, yeah, emotional high is good, but like don't like if we clearly know this is a weaker form, do something clever with it.
So, after the fight, Hirobi approaches Jin like, "Hey, you're getting pretty chummy with a human, aren't you?" And Jinga replies with, "No, I just need to get close to him to steal the human gear data."
Yeah, I mean, I thought it's more like I'm just learning from him, but you're right. Yours makes way more sense. Either way, it's really interesting now that it's like uh, you have kind of this like spectrum now. It's like, okay, Guy, full destruction of human gear. Arto, coexist human and basically like humans and human gear coexisting. Jin is like, I want to liberate the human gear, and humans, I don't know. I don't really care what happens to them. And then you have like Hirobi, it's like exterminate all the humans,
Kill all humans!
right? So it's like it's kind of interesting. We have like a full spectrum going.
Which is why I'm saying that like either Hirobi or Jin could be the final boss at this point. I'm
It all,
thinking Hirobi is a bit more likely with the whole arc plot, but it could
yeah.
still go either way.
It really depends on who rebuilt Jin, because if it's like some nefarious organization, Jin could still be the bad guy. But as it is right now, he seems way more likely to be an anti-hero or join the good guys.
Shocker rebuilt Jin.
Oh my, why? Okay, you know what? I could actually believe it. They were like, "Oh, we need a super soldier. Let's just rebuild it." And then they fucked up so hard, Jin became a writer. Because that's what Shocker does. They built the strongest writers. They make shitty monsters. Oh my god. I was gonna say Foundation X, but this is totally Shocker's fucking about.
Oh. Okay. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of joking, but like even if Shocker shows up, I'd be like, of course, you morons fucked up so hard. you you just made yourself an enemy.
Oh, don't they always?
Well, I don't know, Guy's still around.
So. Naruto manages to somehow find a building that will rent him out an office for Human Gear repairs, despite all the bad publicity that Human Gear have at this time. It's a decent sized office as well. It's also like a ground floor kind of place though, so it's not the you know most prestigious place ever.
I mean, you gotta start somewhere. Also, like, yeah. Um, honestly, it's a rental space, so it's like whoever pays me money, I'm guessing, top in there. Or he just made a deal with some really shady land sharks, which, might okay. You know what would have been cool? Remember that like kind of like gangster as couple that they got the house for? If they came and like somehow helped them out, I'd be like, okay, I can kind of see that happening. Like call in a favor for all the humans he's helped. Not gonna happen, but whatever. It could also just be that Japan's population is decreasing, so there's a lot of fucking empty space, kinda. Or somebody just died in that fucking office and therefore nobody wants to buy it. Whatever. Knowing Japan, either one of those is possible.
Like I think the best thing about him starting, or well, Izu starting that company, because let's be real, it was Izu's Izu did it.
Yeah, I mean, but like a human gear can't own a company, pretty much. So
right, but like the whole fact, it shows that, and everything with Arto, her making the company just to start with, and all that shows faith on both sides for Izu, i.e., the human gear, and Aruto. that's a reciprocal thing. Like they both have faith in each other. He had faith that Izu would do something that would let him transform to protect her, and her having faith that he would do the right thing for the Humagears. And having the fact that the company is something that is meant to maintain and, I'm going to assume moving forward, build Humagears again, based on the next episode.
I thought they were just repairing that, but I'm not sure.
Like, I'm not entirely sure
So
how that's going to play out, because they only have the one Humagear.
Based on the next episode preview, someone brings a broken Humagear to Aruto, wanting it repaired, and Aruto is pleading to that Humagear to break free and make his own decisions.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's like a really interesting turn of events. Honestly, like the whole Aruto president thing, I never really fully got on board with until this episode, because they focus like this episode shows that like Aruto could actually be a really good president, or just somebody who owns a shop. Like honestly, just having him own the shop is so much better, because it's so much more local and grounded and so much more Aruto style. So I feel this is like such a better fit. Like even if he doesn't get, I mean, he's probably gonna get Hidan Industries back, but like even if he doesn't, I'm fine with him just owning the repair shop, honestly.
But like it to me is like it's just the type of company that it is just shows complete faith in Aruto and the Humagears moving forward by at least these two characters, and I think that's amazing. That through all this, Izu still has faith in Aruto, and that Aruto still has faith in the Humagears, which could have easily changed over the last couple. Could have just changed up real quick with all of this crap, and that's one of the things that they could have risked doing is like changing Aruto's mindset a little bit, because this is a very much a massive upheaval point in the show where they could drastically change things and it would make sense.
They could, but again, as his backstory points out this episode, like robot dad, right? So right. Unlikely to happen.
Which is again understandable that they didn't 100%, and I'm fine with the choices that they made. But like I said, like, if this could have been a point to do so, and it could have played well, but I don't think it would have played as well as this did.
Yeah, I agree. This was a really good episode, honestly.
And I believe that's everything we wanted to say. So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. And we'll be back on Tuesday for more Cure Major. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. And if Rider stops or whatever, luckily Toei dumped a shit ton of old tokusatsu onto YouTube, finally. What is their channel called?
Is it back up yet?
The whole channel's down?
So Toei's copyright strike system hit themselves.
It's not Toei, it's just YouTube. Basically what happens is like companies upload their media and a YouTube system scans it, and if it finds a copy of that, it just automatically flags it.
But here's the thing, companies such as Toei have their own scanner system to look for their infringement to, automatically report it to YouTube saying like, hey, no, this person is uploading like our clips.
Yeah.
And they got hit by their own. Triggered it. Their own stuff triggered it. They didn't account for that.
That's fucking genius. Actually, let's see. Well, Blue SWAT's still on YouTube, so maybe their channel's back. Anyway, so Toei's channel is called Toei Tokusatsu World Official. They've uploaded a whole bunch of episodes 1 and 2 of a bunch of older tokusatsu. So if Rider runs out of shit to show or Sentai, we can always cover this. Honestly, like, fuck it. I was just thinking we could just do Metal Heroes. Like the first 2 episodes of most of the Metal Hero shows. Yeah, Blue SWAT's still there.
And like that's one of those things. The closer it gets to being
I think it's all back up now, but like for a couple hours there.
Dude,
they had to appeal their own shit.
Yeah, appeal it. Well, I mean, technically they could just send an
like
email.
The entire channel just got deleted because it got too many copyright claims.
Jesus, wow. I mean, the funny thing is, then they have to email themselves to a different department to go and unlock their own YouTube channel, which is extra hilarious. How do you like it now, Toei?
I'm hoping that maybe someone starts to consider that their system might be a bit too aggressive.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Unlikely, but that'd be nice. Also, wow, they're up to like 47.8 thousand subs, which is amazing. Good job, people.
But like
yeah,
in terms of
this had like fucking nothing 3 days ago. Like, well, okay, it had like 20,000, but before that, when they announced it, when I first sub, it had like 2,000. It'd been sitting idle for like 2 years. So in like a week, they've hit almost 50K. That's amazing.
It's like,
also, Tony, fucking enable, yeah, as if they're listening to us. Enable community captions, you fuckers. Like, there's so many people, like, Portuguese people, like, you know, Brazil, like, Tokusatsu is huge in Brazil, especially Metal Heroes, who are like, hey, put either Portuguese subs or enable community captions so we can put it on the shows themselves. Yeah, go ahead.
But like moving forward, the closer it gets to it, is like we can all sit down and decide which show we want to watch, or we can just watch various ones and then like give our opinions on them.
You know what's really interesting is seeing like what choices they put on there. They put full Shin, like the full Kamen Rider Shin movie on the uncut version. I'm like, holy shit, which is great. But I'm like, wow. Also, Poutrine's on there, so
Poutrine was great.
Okay, yeah, I saw like only like 5 minutes of it. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, don't look up what that means in French.
Yeah, all the names.
It literally, her name is a comment on her breasts.
That's what I thought it was going
Great.
to be. Great.
Thanks for telling us not to look it up and then telling us what it means.
I didn't tell you what. I just told you what it referred to, not what it was.
Fair enough. Also, both of the Kikaider shows is on there.
I've been wanting to watch.
On there, I'm going to warn you people right fucking now. Zubat does not fuck around, right? It's gonna be real rough. Like the villains are insanely evil in Zubat.
I've been wanting to watch.
I know that you don't watch that.
Is B-Fighter on there?
All the cover. I mean, no, sorry. All the Metal Heroes and the what is the name? One moment.
I specifically want to watch B-Fighter because I want to watch the accurate version of Big Bad Beetleborgs.
So
that's not Toei. That's Toho, I think.
I thought that was Toei.
Oh, maybe it is. It could be.
Find out.
Right. All the Fushiku comedy shows. So like there's a bunch of other magical girl ones, and then the robot that is part of the family. Those shows are on there. So I'm just naming all the shit that's crossed over with writers that have shown up in the crossover Rider movies. So
right,
like Kikaider, both of the Kikaider shows are on there. Poutrine's on there.
I've been wanting to watch Changeurion since I found out about it.
Oh, Changeurion, that's the one that Oja.
Yeah, Oja's the main character, and he transforms by eating sushi.
Jeez, okay. See, I didn't know that. I have to watch it. Inazuman's on there. Akamizer 3, again, these guys have all crossed over with Rider.
I think I'm mad.
The the
I used to have that.
Which
Right.
one?
The funny thing is, there's a show called By Crosser, which is basically it's a writer show, except instead of one writer, there's two.
Actually, I'm
Uh,
curious.
there's another like very Sentai s show. You know, like the Sentai parody shows. We've had like two of them. This is the official. Basically, it's the other Sentai show. So it's called Ninja Capture. It's on there. They have like a weirdly, they have like a really sci-fi, like Flash Gordon-y type one. It's called Captain Ultra. That's interesting. They have like a samurai one. Jujutsu Uke Ichiho. That's interesting too. Yeah, they have like all the Metal Heroes. So if you're ever interested in like, hey, which Metal Hero should I check out? Watch the 2 episodes. It's really annoying that they don't have freaking playlists, but I'll take it at this moment for them having it online than not. Oh, Space Iron Man Kyordine is on there. So again, these people crossed over with Forza and stuff. Space Chef. Why is it Space Cop? Good Gavan. Space Chef Gavan's on there because, of course, first Metal Hero. Yeah, man. There's like so much shit. It's amazing.
But yeah, it's like moving forward, we'll all sit down and decide what to watch, and then continue the podcast as scheduled by that point. But there's also a possibility that it may not get pushed back or delayed or anything.
Is Henshin Ninja Arashi on there?
I have not checked. I'm just naming all the stuff I posted here.
But let's go ahead and kill the stream.
Yeah, anyway.
And then we'll decide on everything else.
Right. So if anybody else wants to Tokusatsu for free with subs, English subs, on Toei's official channel, it's called Toei Tokusatsu World Official. Go there, check it out. It's awesome. Have a blast. Catch you all next time.
Catch you all next time. And on a side note, just remember it's old, so understand the special effects are not going to be fantastic, but the shows are.
The jank is why we like it.